Hello and welcome once again to Breakfast All Day. Christy and Matt and Alonso. It's a super special 1 month early look at Uncut Gems.
I twisted some arms.
No, but it's such a great movie. I'm excited to talk about it, and I think about it all the time when I do my top 10 list. This is way, way high up there, so I'm very excited to talk about it. Who wants to describe Uncut Gems?
Why don't you?
I will. Okay, so Adam Sandler. This is Adam Sandler in serious mode. And, Adam Sandler in serious mode is certainly preferable to Adam Sandler in, overgrown doofus kid mode where he's off on vacation with, Rob Schneider and David Spade or whoever it is. But the movies where he does work with directors who will challenge him, like Paul Thomas Anderson, for example, and now like the Safdie brothers, those are really rewarding and really surprising.
Except for The Cobbler.
The Cobbler. I don't think I saw the Cobbler.
The Tom McCarthy one. Oh, it was not good.
Oh, did I not see that?
Generally speaking, yes. Adam Sandler working with good directors who push him is the better Adam Sandler.
And he gets so pushed here.
And he rises to it.
Oh my goodness, he's so good. So he plays this jeweler in the jewelry district in Manhattan. And the Safdies right off the bat create this really vivid sense of place of like the hustle and bustle and the characters and the hustling and the people coming and going, just like the energy of the city. And you are on edge from the very beginning of this film.
Yeah.
And it does not let up for 2+ hours. So he's got a serious gambling problem. I wish Ben were here for this. Because Ben has seen it, and I know he really liked it. As soon as I got out of this movie, I texted Ben. I'm like, you've got to see Uncut Gems if there's ever a movie made for you. Because he's betting on like really specific basketball things. It's not just like the Knicks are going to win. It's like who's going to win the opening tip and what's going to happen during the third quarter or whatever. And so
they're betting stuff on like the amount of rebounds.
Yeah.
That's
specific stuff.
Right.
That was all blah, blah, blah. Ginger for me, but I went with it.
Yeah. So he's got like a Ponzi scheme going with all of his gambling debts because he will use a piece of jewelry that someone brings into him and then pawn it to pay off somebody else that he owes money to and then to get that money to go gamble on something else. Yeah. And it's how he tries to keep all the plates spinning at once. He's got a wife, he's got a girlfriend, he's got this business, he's got Lakeith Stanfield who comes in and brings him like potential celebrity clients, including Kevin Garnett, who is hugely important to this movie.
A major character in the film a good performance. I'd never heard of him before.
Do you know who Kevin Garnett is?
I have no idea.
He's super important.
Well, he's really good in this movie.
He's not really known for being an actor, but
No. I mean, I could tell. I got from the context of the film that he's a big deal athlete, but I had never heard his name before.
So this takes place in. Is it 2013 when the Celtics and the Sixers are playing in the Eastern Conference Final? I think 2013. And this is why Kevin Garnett is coming through New York.
Right.
And it's basically what happens over the course of just like a few days, right?
Yeah, like 3 or 4 days.
Yeah. And how but it begins with this piece. The reason the movie has its title is there's this giant opal that has been mined from Ethiopia that he has wanted forever, and he finally gets it, and it becomes a MacGuffin. Yeah. But it's a MacGuffin with character.
I went into this movie and didn't grab press notes and just said to the publicist, Matt Atchity here, and they let me in, and it starts out with the scene in Ethiopia with the Chinese people that run the thing. And I'm thinking, am I in the right theater? What?
It's confusing.
Yeah, it's a bit of it's like the pre-credit sequence of The Exorcist,
Anyway, so if you've seen any of the Safdie's films, if you saw Good Time, which was it just last year?
2 years ago,
with Robert Pattinson. They are experts at creating this really richly vivid sense of place within New York City. This guy that Adam Sandler plays is based on people that the Safdies knew through their family who worked in the Diamond District in Manhattan. Actual real people who work in this business are scattered throughout this film, which to give it a sense of heft and realism. And they're so good at putting you in the head of their character. And there's just like a hum. Yeah. There's like an insistent buzz.
If you thought Good Time was like a non-ending anxiety attack, they up it, I think, in this movie.
This makes Good Time look like a Terrence Malick film.
I love this movie. And one of the things I love about this movie is that it really captures you start to understand the high that he gets from, and the thing is, like, I wouldn't necessarily call it a Ponzi scheme, but like any chance he has, anytime he's got money, he goes and bets it again.
Yes.
Like he's an addict, right? Like
totally.
The difference is he's betting as opposed to going to the bar.
They never tell you that, but they show you.
But they show you that, and he's in with you see. I mean, early on in the film, these two thugs come in to collect money, and then it turns out they're connected to Eric Bogosian.
Don't.
Right, I'm not going to say, but then you find out what that deeper connection is later. This movie is really good at shifting almost instantly from worry to elation and then back. Like there's a sign that like, oh, it's gonna be okay. Oh no, it's terrible. Oh, it's gonna be okay. Oh,
I'll tell you what it reminded me of in a lot of ways, and I know a lot of people don't like this movie, but it reminded me of Mother, just in terms of
I like Mother.
that palpable sense of like, what's gonna happen? I just.
Right.
Like I spent like 2 hours and 15 minutes with like butt cheeks clenched. There is no relaxing in this movie. There is no exhalation in this movie. It's just like, what's are you gonna do now? Oh no! Don't do that! It's really
even
well
like
done.
the family scenes. Like there's the scene at the show and some of the other scenes. You're like, man, you're wasting time. You need to go take care of stuff. Like what?
I want to mention Julia Fox really fast. She is the young woman who plays his employee at the jewelry store, who's also his girlfriend.
Yes.
Right.
And this is her first film.
Oh, wow.
They found her, like, she was a YouTuber, and they found her.
She's really good.
She's so good
and
because
his wife is played by Frozen 2 star Idina Menzel.
Right, and she can't let it go.
Adele doesn't.
Adele doesn't, right.
And The Weeknd is in it. Like there are scenes that are like absurdly funny where you think perhaps, okay, here's going to be a moment of release or calm or fun, and then something awful happens there too.
Judd Hirsch is in it.
Nope, Judd Hirsch is. This is. I'm not going to say enjoyed, but this movie is exactly what the Safdies wanted to be.
And I was talking to a friend of mine who's a filmmaker about this, and he was like, I don't know what the point of this was. I don't know what they're trying to say, but they're saying it with just like exquisite style and tone. And I think it's about striving. It's about social climbing and trying to fill that constantly never-ending void, because he's doing it through sex and through money and through jewelry and through gambling, and like the more he takes part in all of these self-destructive activities that he thinks will bring him happiness, will bring him a more fulfilled sense of self, it never happens. Like it's never enough.
It is, and I think Matt nailed this. This is as good a portrait of addiction as I've ever seen, in terms of not just the repercussions of it, but the mental state of, because even no matter how well things might go, he's just going to turn around and drop it on something else. He's going to bet on something else and like plunge back to the depths because he can't help himself.
Well, and you're right, because there's, like you said, there's never enough. And that's what drives a lot of people to an addiction, is because they've got this mindset of, because that's a relief from the feeling of, oh, I'm striving. Like for a lot of people, it's like, oh, well, if I could just get to here, right? And there is no here, because there's always something else. And, there's never enough. You're never happy. So, it doesn't matter it ultimately doesn't matter whether or not everything works out or not, because he's not going to be happy.
It's never going to end.
It's never going to end without a severe lifestyle change. Yeah, this movie's terrific. I almost don't want to say this, but it's like, this is one of the few movies I would call like a roller coaster ride, in that like, you get on the roller coaster and you are terrified for the whole damn thing, and it's exhilarating and it's awesome, and part of why you come out and you do it because you're like, oh, that was amazing, I'm alive. and that's kind of what this is like.
You'll feel something.
I was almost as nervous in this as I've been in any horror movie in the last couple of years.
It is all the equivalent of like, oh God, don't go in there.
Right.
And a lot of how they achieve that sense of anxiety is through the sound design. There's almost like an Altman-esque kind of overlapping of dialogue that goes on.
At the beginning of the movie, like he walks into a room where all these people are talking, and the music is mixed at the same level as the dialogue is. So you're just like already bombarded with stuff. My friend with me periodically like, wait, what? And I would have to explain the plot because certain things were mentioned very quickly, and it was just so much is being thrown at you. So yeah, once you are in this movie, you do not relax again until it's done.
So I went to a screening of this at the ArcLight where they had a Q&A afterward with Adam Sandler and Josh and Benny Safdie. And they were saying they wanted to make this film for about a decade, and they always wanted Adam Sandler in it. Like they had seen him in Punch Drunk Love. They wanted that Adam Sandler. And for a long time, he wouldn't look at the script. He just didn't have time. He wouldn't do it. And then the Safdies made Good Time. And then they came back to him, and now he's like, oh, okay. So now they finally had the clout and the recognition that he was willing to open himself up to this. And I would say that it resulted in his best performance ever.
I think it's one of his best performances, so much so that it'd be hard to imagine almost anyone else in this role. I can see why they waited for him because he can, when he's being charming and when he's like, oh, feel sorry for me. And it touches on all that stuff that he'll it's a lot of stuff that you see him do in his broad, goofy comedies, but it's used so well here. And I love that the Safdie brothers have seen that he's got those tools in his tool chest to and craft a film around that really, really effectively.
Yeah, I would say this and Meyerowitz Stories last year are two of his absolute best pieces of work ever.
Yeah, more of this, Adam Sandler.
Yes, and Adam Sandler, nobody but Adam Sandler could have played this, and I don't think that Adam Sandler could have played this really at any point in his career prior to now, because he's older.
Yeah.
And because he visibly has lived a life, and that weariness of the world and that struggle is more evident on him than any time the boyish Adam Sandler that we'd seen previously.
Yeah, I don't think this would have worked as well if he were younger, if the character were younger. I think that there is a bit of you see the wear on him, and he probably has a greater sense of the notion of desperation than he might have a decade earlier. I don't know, but I think this, it's stunning work.
So what's your number?
I said 8.
Okay.
I give it a 9. I think it's a terrific movie, and absolutely go see it.
I'm saying 9.5. This is way, way high up there for me on my top 10 list. So our number is an 8.8, and it is at 95% on the Tomatometer. So again, we're super early on this. This isn't open until Christmas, but just keep it in mind as you're planning out what you want to go see during the holidays.
Yeah, just be ready that it's not going to be hey, fun time, holiday. Woo.
Let's go shopping and then see Uncut Gems.
Exactly.
No, take your goofy relatives hey, let's go see the new Adam Sandler movie. It's
Sandler
hilarious.
movie.
They'll be like, what?
In fact, actually, my friend who went with me, I think he said he took a Xanax beforehand, and if you can,
did it help?
It did. He said, "I'm so glad I did," because he'd seen Good Time, so he knew what he was in for.
So don't get a soda.
Anyway, thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and go check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. If you're watching this after Christmas, I don't even know what we're going to be recapping at that point, but it will be something fascinating, and we do other stuff there trailers and movie news and classics that you pick for us. So if you've already subscribed to our Patreon, thanks so much, and if you haven't, go check it out.
Yes, I wanted to mention really fast, not to be sad and be a downer, but Ben, if you are listening or you are watching, we're thinking of you. Ben's mom died last week.
Yes.
We have not seen Ben in a little while, but I've been in contact with him. And so thinking about you and your family, Ben. Also, next week on next Monday, a week from today, if you're listening today, Chris G is out today as my a la carte interview. He is a composer and sound designer and editor and reporter.
Is he related to Warren G?
No, yeah, you can't see what he sees every day as Christopher G. I should have played that song. That's funny now. Too late. Next week is Adam Egypt Mortimer, who directed a horror film called Daniel Isn't Real, which is super moody and nutty and batshit. If you liked Mandy, if you like movies of that ilk, you will like Daniel Isn't Real. So that is happening next week. Thank you for hanging out with us. Happy whatever you're celebrating this week, and we'll catch up with you again next week. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.